This week we present you a story that is finger-lickin' good. Hello and welcome to Game Tales, our weekly feature where we recite the stories of D&D players and the many goings-on in their adventures. Today's story comes from yours truly. It is set in 3.5 edition, Dungeons & Dragons, and it takes place in a homebrew campaign setting. Special thanks to our patrons, Remy Sweet and Of Winter. Do check us out on there. Without further ado, I am the Penitent with College of Lore. This is Game Tales. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe as I tell you the tale of one of my players made Colonel Sanders. So, joke characters, gag characters, they're a little strange. They can be executed well, but the way most players play them, the best way to execute them is via lethal injection. But sometimes, just sometimes, it can be brilliant if you do it with tact. And this is the story of one of the times it was done with tact. Yeah, my player probably should have told me beforehand, but it was hilarious. This is a story from my high school D&D experience. And actually the first time I had DM'd with some friends from my high school. The rest of the characters have been lost to time, save for one. His name was Samuel Anders, a human bard. The quirk with Samuel was that his bardic focus was actually cooking instead of music. We kind of tweaked the flavor of the bard abilities and made it cooking-based, not so much actively like cooking as it was having pre-made magically like enhanced biscuits or cookies, all that sort of thing. The party meets, gets together, goes on a standard orc fighting first DM quest, and then gets commissioned by the king to take down the big bad. They accept what Samuel asks for one thing, to let them choose a title. If the group succeeds, each of them gets to choose an official rank or title. Samuel was born a peasant and had never really had a proper title, so that kind of makes sense. The king, clarifying it can't be king, prince, sovereign, whatever, agrees. So from there the party sets out on a quest that would take several months IRL, playing every weekend mostly. Samuel's really endearing. He adds a lot of quality to the game. His cooking quirk is really neat. It could have come off really annoying, and it's credit to the player that it didn't. He serves as a cook for the party during rest, which is not like something we get deeply into all the time, but it is a nice little bit of flavor. And he's just really personable with NPCs as well as the rest of his party members. There is one more quirk that I notice, is that anytime he gets significant downtime within the party, like they're resting someplace for more than a few days, he'll go scouring the local woods for any native fauna, or any native flora, fauna's the wrong word there, that might make interesting flavor combinations. I want to note this was not excessive. He was not chomping at the bit to do it every rest, nor did he waste a ton of RP time doing it, like 2-hour shopping trips, for example. It was a quirk that, if played up more, could have gotten way, way more annoying than it was, but as it was, it just added more depth to the game and the character. But anytime we found an interesting native plant, and we would roll survival, what he found that was truly exceptional, he would add it to a small list on his character sheet that he just kept for what I assumed were flavor reasons. At some point in the campaign, the party finds his home village and finds that he learned to cook and to make interesting flavors off the land because his village was dirt poor, and his family and friends could barely afford food, much less good-tasting food, which was kind of sweet and very touching for a lot of our players. As I said, it was my first campaign, and not a lot that was that over-the-top memorable, but one thing I remember was Samuel being very taken when the party first encountered a livestock farmer, making a connection and having a long conversation with that farmer about his life and work. As I said, not a ton was memorable, so things do wrap up after a few months. The party's ready to fight the big bad, and the night before that fight, Samuel goes foraging and another player kind of follows after. They talk, and Samuel gets asked, "Why do you always do this? What do you hope to find?" And Samuel just kind of mumbles, I want to find the perfect recipe. To which the other player responds, "You're a high-level magic user, why are you falling back on cooking?" And Samuel says, "Nobody can adventure forever. After all this is said and done, I think that a long break is probably in order. I think maybe I'll cook for a living, maybe open a farm, maybe do both, who knows?" The other player doesn't really understand, but kind of just pauses and lets Samuel go. To when he says, "It's a funny thing, food. It seems simple. Eating is something we all have to do, but you offer anyone, a good friend, a stranger, a good meal, and you change their day. Maybe more. I like what we've done here. We've made a lot of people really happy. I want to make more people happy, in a different way now." He rolls a nat 20 on his last survival roll, and we all agree that it's pretty fitting. He writes down another ingredient on his list. The party wins, and I give them all a few minutes to think of an epilogue for what happens to their character. And they go through the standard D&D fare that typically happens when you do this sort of things. And then Samuel unleashes this. He felt after his adventure in a warlike environment of this campaign that Colonel would be the title that would suit him best. After adventuring, he settled into a small chicken farm, setting to work with the ingredients he found along the way until he found it, the perfect recipe. He opened a small restaurant with reasonably priced and delicious chicken. It got popular, like really popular, enough that he had to open several locations almost like a franchise. And from that day forward, and even after his death, people would come from all over to try his, Colonel S. Anders, chicken, made with his secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices. He lays his character sheet on the table, showing a list of exactly 11 herbs and spices he found, where he found them, and what he rolled on his survival rolls. Campaign end. Thank you for watching. If you have any of your own D&D stories, tell us in the comments or email us and we may read them in this feature. Thank you for watching this video from College of Lore. Remember to like this video, subscribe to join the party, and have a fantastic adventure.